I don't know what the rat is cooking up today, but it sure does smell magnifique. Wait until she sees what's on the menu today. Wow, this looks to be quite the treat. The presentation is top-notch, but I do not feel transported. Welcome to Artsplained, the show where I explain art. My name is Michelle, and I am just famished. My eternal hunger for visually stunning grub, tailored for both eyeball and colon consumption, has just begun. On today's menu, food art, or art that depicts and/or utilizes food products. My hope for this Artsplainathon is to not only get your whistle wet and get that tumblin' and grumblin', I also want to show you a whole new world, past Instagram, and past any dining room you've ever been to or any buffet that has tickled your toes and made you say, "Yeehaw, now that is stuff that indeed pleases the mouth buds." The artists that I will feature here today have nourished the public without ever offering them a single nibble of sabayon, cassoulet, gougere, or my lovely Grand Moo sweaty hogs. For now, get ready to lick these libations from afar, my peckish pepinos. It is finally time to suckle at the teat of knowledge. Wayne Thiebaud. Food can often reflect the values and history of an entire culture. That is especially true for Wayne Thiebaud, an Arizona-born artist whose paintings of sweets and confections are complemented by thick dollops of paint that visually mimic the texture of slathered-on buttercream frosting. His focus on cakes and other sweet goodies as the main subjects of his works is in part fueled by his interest in commonplace objects. In an artist's statement published in 1962 by the San Francisco Chronicle, Thiebaud wrote, "I try to find things to paint which I feel have been overlooked. We don't want our still lives to tattle on us, but some years from now, our foodstuffs, our pots, our dress, and our ideas will be quite different. So if we sentimentalize or adopt a posture more polite than our own, we are not having a real look at ourselves for what we are. I hope that it may allow us to see ourselves looking at ourselves." His works are not simply cute little depictions of tasty morsels. They demonstrate Thiebaud's sense of what it means to be American. Part of what makes Thiebaud's still life so successful is the way that he uses heavy pigment, exaggerated colors, and well-defined shadows. His style also involves a halo effect where he outlines objects or forms in multiple colors of equal intensity. One notable past creation by Thiebaud is the graphite and watercolor work Lunch Table from 1964. From afar, it may appear fairly simple, but Christie's profile on him says that Lunch Table is more than just a depiction of consumer goods, but also a celebration and contemplation of life. In a mid-2019 Christie's auction, it fetched over $1 million. Other well-received works of his have included 1963's Delicatessen Counter, which San Francisco Chronicle described as more of an architectural study than a food display. Pie Counter, created in 1961, is in the Whitney Museum of American Art in New York's permanent collection. And French pastries, dating back to 1963, can be found in Washington, D.C.'s Hirshhorn Museum and Sculpture Garden. But what do I like about these works? They make me hungry. The paint strokes are smeared on thick, making me believe for a moment that I could taste some frosting if I just touched the canvas. This pleases the eyes, though perhaps not the stomach. I also really enjoy how Thibault is able to represent an entire nation or culture through the food that we eat. President Bill Clinton presented the artist the National Medal of Arts in October 1994. In 2001, Thibault received the Lifetime Achievement Award for Art from the American Academy of Design. Honestly, who needs humble pie when you can take a bite out of success? Although I'm not sure I'd want Bill anywhere near my baked goods. Giuseppe Arcimboldo. Food can be a source of entertainment, as seen from Arcimboldo's portraits, which are meant to incite a chuckle or two through the element of surprise. Born in Milan circa 1526, many of his paintings incorporate fruits, vegetables, and other objects arranged to form the contours of a face. In Thomas da Costa Kaufmann's book, Arcimboldo, Visual Jokes, Natural History, and Still Life Painting, it reads, "It is impossible to focus on the separate parts and on the whole at the same time, because concentration on the individual components impedes recognition of the head and torso as a whole. The two impressions cannot be grasped simultaneously. One either pays attention to the individual fruits and vegetables or notices that they compose a head. The viewer shifts from one impression to the other. Resolution of the impressions is uncertain. Oscillation between two perspectives results." Arcimboldo's paintings are often equated to jokes. Their seemingly surrealist appearance is accented by how mid-16th century Western painters tended to focus on still lifes, not the human element. In his composites, Arcimboldo combines the two, but his works are more than just giggle-worthy. Each fruit or vegetable was chosen with intention. For his portraits that represented the seasons, each one depicts food that is representative of each time frame. He was similarly deliberate with what objects he associated with the four elements: earth, water, wind, and fire, and even different professions. Many of these paintings were intended to praise the Habsburgs of Austria's imperial court, making the statement that they rule the world as they do the elements and the seasons. Only around 20 of Arcimboldo's composites still exist. Additionally, most historians of Renaissance art did not used to pay much attention to him, but his works have increasingly been praised, gawked at, and critiqued in the past few decades. Art historian and curator Sidney Joseph Friedberg described Arcimboldo's works as both grotesque and piquant. Historian Charles Hope saw his works as bizarre. The New York Times' opinion of his works were that they were nightmarish visions with a fine line separating sheer imagination from uncontrolled hallucinations. One of his paintings acts as the logo for a brand of tomatoes sold in Italy that bears his name, Arcimboldo Pacino. There are restaurants in New York, Oslo, Prague, Barcelona, Milan, Turin, Venice, and Buenos Aires named after him. Also, in the 2008 animated film The Tale of Despero, there is a soup genie named Boldo with a head made of fruits and vegetables. Wow, I wish my art could make it on the big screen, especially when rodents are involved. That's how you know you're making real cinema. Sir, please forgive me. I have sinned. That's a good year. Robin Antar. Antar is a Brooklyn-based multimedia pop artist whose scrumdiddlyumptious works have been featured in Food Network magazine, New York Post, HGTV, among others. Her food art started in the late 1990s when she launched her Realism in Stone series. At first, she focused on fashion, especially shoes, before moving on to food products. Sculptures such as this 800-pound bag of M&Ms can price in the thousands, with some of her works reaching over $125,000 according to Crane's New York business. Similarly to Tebow, Antar sees food as a way to represent all of America. Her limestone and marble works have included realistic burgers, Milano cookies, a bagel with lox spread, a hot dog, and many other lovely morsels that would make any romantic dinner quite an event to remember, I'm sure. Antar's large-scale realistic sculptures act as a visual record of modern American culture, focused solely on the fun, not on, you know. I get it. I totally get it. It's food. It's America. It's American food. I'm American and I like food. If I like food, I can like things that look like food. Wow. But wait, if Antar focuses most on junk food, does that mean that America is junk and inherently insubstantial and potentially harmful sustenance? Is she really Brooklyn's answer to Andy Warhol? But what does that mean, to be an answer to Andy Warhol? Was there a question? Why am I suddenly so hungry? My neighbors think I'm crazy, Antar told the New York Daily News. It's so funny, the reaction. One guy tells my son, "Your mother's the nutcase across the street." My son thought it was funny, but he thinks I'm nuts too. The real objects expire, but my sculptures never do. America, America, America. What? Wait. Was I saying something? Oh, right. Antar. Yeah, she's cool, I guess. I'm surprised you're still here. But we have one final artist worth gobbling up before we leave for the night. Janine Antoni. To be an artist means to be willing to express yourself. How you feel, where you're from, and maybe even how you taste. For this New York-based artist, she combined sculpture with performance, creating 14 busts of herself, 7 out of chocolate and 7 out of soap. After she first created the series, Antoni's performance from 1993 featured her licking the chocolate heads and washing herself with the soap heads. In an interview with Smithsonian Magazine, Antoni said, "Both acts, licking and washing, are very gentle, loving, intimate acts. But what was curious to me was that through that act, I was erasing myself. I think that we think of aging as something that happens to us, something we can't control. I started to think about the way we live our lives as a reflection on how we choose to age." The Lick and Lather series is meant to riff on the typically super serious classical sculpture, idealized beauty, and everyday rituals such as eating and washing. Antoni's Lick and Lather series was influenced by Dieter Roth, a Swiss 20th century artist who created a bust out of himself made out of birdseed and chocolate. His work was meant to be impermanent, and similarly, so too is Antoni's series. She told Art21 that artists often depict themselves in order to immortalize themselves, but through ephemeral materials, she worked against the grain of that.
I think the experience of art is about coming back into our bodies and being embodied. And so I'm interested in making an object that slows things down enough for you to become incredibly aware of all your senses.
Antoni's works are included in the collections of Washington, D.C.'s National Gallery of Art and Hirshhorn Museum, San Francisco's Museum of Modern Art, and New York's Guggenheim Museum, MoMA, and the Whitney Museum of American Art. I think artworks that require vulnerability offer something of value to us all. We eat, drink, and be merry. But we forget that we ourselves are just as impermanent as the food we crave and consume. What a yummy feast this whole artsplaining has been. Truly, I could not take another bite out of any other artist. But in the end, what is food art? Is it objects that are edible and are artistic in the way that they are crafted? Is it a duck leg confit at a Michelin-starred restaurant? Is it your old Auntie Momo's Kraft mac and cheese that she would lace with whiskey so she could finally get some shut-eye? What makes food art? And what makes art about or utilizing food worth being included in a museum or gallery as opposed to a dining room table? The core of food art is simple. It is focused on the senses, culture, rituals, and how that all adds up to our sense of self and community. Defining the differences between food and art can be impossible. Both can incite awe, excitement, or even disgust. While food nourishes the body, art functions similarly in that it can feed the soul. Food connects and affects all of us. It is what provides us energy and small moments of happiness or disappointment throughout the day. It binds smells to memories and allows your poppy to forget the strife in his humble occupation for one moment, as he focuses solely on perfectly crispy fried chicken skin, or mayhaps a spicy Totino's pizza boy. We all love a good pizza boy. Thank you for gobbling up this latest episode of Artsplained. Be sure to like this video, subscribe, sign up for our Patreon, follow our social media channels, and sign away your soul. Don't worry, it'll be put to good use. Oh dear, I am quite forlorn. Hello, can I speak to Rat? Your associate was quite talentless, and alas, I remain famished. Will I get the rat? Oh me, oh my. That's one plump boy. Thank you, Rat House. This video is sponsored by Rat House and Ratbox. Satisfaction guaranteed. If you're disappointed in your meal, you'll get the rat.